Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Customer Officer, Salesforce.com, Jim Steele.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, this is quite a crowd for lunchtime. Obviously, you all have a hunger for data, right? No pun intended. It's great to see all of you here, and I hope you'll agree with me that the last couple days with the keynote presentations have been very inspiring, especially the customer stories. And this session will be no exception. We'll have plenty of customer stories to share. And I am really excited because one of my early mentors here at Salesforce, about 8 years ago, I hired this young little whippersnapper from Harvard and wherever else he went, Stanford. He was way smarter than I was, but I had to kind of like coach him along the way. And he's now our EVP of the Marketing Cloud and Data.com. So it's just proof that anybody can make it in this business when you see Brett up here. But he's a terrific asset to the company. And for those of you who are in operations, sales operations, and are helping your sales teams be more effective, and in Brett's case, making his boss look really good, you can get promoted. It's just unbelievable. So you're going to hear from Brett, but first we're going to show you, we're in the middle of the last day of keynotes here. We've had, I think, 10 in total. And the exciting part is that for each of these keynotes, you're hearing from the owner of these products. These are the people that actually own the development, they own the marketing, they own everything to do with these products, and they're going to share with you their vision, their roadmap. They'll have customers up talking about their customer success and sharing their stories, and then you'll see great demos. So this is, and if you've missed any of the ones in the morning that we've already had, or if the one you want to see conflicts with the one you're going to, you can see all of these on YouTube, but you can see for the rest of the day what we've got in store. So please plan to attend as many of these as you can, and those that you miss, you can always see on YouTube. So let's get started with the video, and then Brett will be on right after that. Thank you so much for being here.
I love the idea of wine. I love that it's handmade. We want to have this experience where people feel, and they are, dealing with a family brand, a small business.
But we want to compete as if we have that larger budget. Bespoke is a collection of artisanal brands and experiences. Blackbird Vineyards, based here in the Napa Valley. It's a premium wine brand. Maisenry Napa Valley, where we are today, is an experiential brand. And Recuerdo Wines, out of Mendoza, Argentina, is our newest brand in the portfolio. With Data.com and Salesforce working together, we can quickly understand who our leads are and how we can interact with them.
We can tailor our communication, we can tailor our interaction, we can tailor our experiences. Being able to track this information in a way that we can access it through Salesforce, invaluable.
There are more wineries than ever in the United States, throughout the world. Unfortunately, there's not as many distributors. So you truly have this hourglass scenario. In the middle, you have this crunch, the limited number of distributors that we have to sell the product through. but you have more people than ever drinking wine. Well, in a B2B scenario, we want to be able to augment that. As a set of small businesses, we don't have a massive advertising budget. Data.com allows us to reach out to different businesses and understand how they might have an interest in our product and engage them in our different brands and our different experiences. All of the information is right there in the system. We don't have to go work with a broker to acquire a list. We don't have to go place an ad in a newspaper with who knows what results. If we see a few that we like, we can click a radio button and import them as leads. And that is priceless. Salesforce is allowing us to truly turn into a social enterprise and understand our clients a little bit better. Having the social enterprise at the individual contact level within the accounts in Salesforce allows us to understand very clearly if someone has a Twitter profile, has a Facebook profile, or how they're interacting with LinkedIn. And so it allows us to see points of their life and understand what will create better rapport between us and them, and make sure that those tailored products and experiences allow them to feel as if we know them more closely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Vice President, Data.com and Marketing Cloud, Salesforce.com, Brett Queener.
Hello. How's everybody? I think when I write my bio, I will not have Jim write my bio. It's very exciting that Jim thinks that his boy is all grows up. But seriously, when I was hired in 2003, we had 10 salespeople at Salesforce. And we wanted to know, could we be successful? What was our go-to-market model, and how would we do it? And so I'm sure many of the people in this room and the role that you serve here is really about how to be successful in generating demand and generating revenue, and really thinking about how do you align the resources and your products and what's your go-to-market. And so, you know, we share a common affinity there. At Salesforce, we're a little crazy. We let the inmates run the asylum and have ops people actually in products. But it wasn't a crazy idea since we're selling to the same people. But it seems to have worked out. So today we're going to talk about transforming how you can connect your selling with Data.com. Here's the safe harbor. I'm not going to read every line, right? What I'll promise to do is tell the truth, and I won't use the line to be honest. You like when people say that, because that means just before that they weren't telling you the truth, and they're cluing that now is the time we're telling the truth. But you can watch this online. As we talked about yesterday, our mission is really to help you connect with your customers in a whole new way. Whether it's your salespeople, whether it's your marketing, whether it's your customers, whether it's your employees, whether it's your partners, whether it's your products. And we also talked about it's a social revolution, and it's really about a trust revolution. And what's very interesting about why social is a trust revolution is that for the first time, your customers are actually expressing their voice. When we've talked about data for the last 10 years, we've thought of people as email and phone and cookies and interactions. But what's really interesting about social is people are people. They've identified who they are, and they've given you their voice. And their expectation is that they give you their voice, and they tell you what they like, and they tell you what you don't like. The expectation is that you'll deliver them the level of service that they expect, which is a little scary. But that is what is about trust. And how we do that and in those interactions is how we're going to differentiate from the competition. And it starts with data. And so today we're really focusing on what we're doing with Data.com to make sales successful. We've been on this journey with Data.com for around 2 years. And the data business is not an easy business. It's not a small endeavor that you wake up one day and you say, there's this large industry for 100 years that's made customers fundamentally unhappy, and we will nail it. Not so. It's not easy. But what we understood is that I've been here for 9 years, and every year from a survey perspective, you've told us that how do we make our data better? Because even the great Sales Cloud application comes empty. It's empty, right? It's not like you turn it on, it's installed, and magically your sales goes through the roof. There's no data there. It's an empty box, and it's on us and many in the room to go fill that box. But what usually happens in our corporations? Well, this is what usually happens. You take the data that you had in your old CRM system that you didn't like, that you replaced Salesforce with, and you either put that in, or what some of us do, and we know we do it, is we have our data quality stewards, they're sales reps, right? Because they're really focused on really quality data. You know, you have in your system **** IBM, the main one, right? Or ZZZY, so the alpha sort works better. It's very hard to do planning and figuring out how you're doing on your business with that level of rigor. And that's why Gartner says there's $600 billion in revenue that's lost to bad data. And we know all the time our ability to have good data, make sure the data is clean, so that we can understand where we're targeting our resources, how we're performing, is really key, but it's hard. And so what Data.com and the journey we've been on is, how can we get you the data that you need in the application that your users like? Not a separate data process, not a separate data application, but give what they need and where they need it. And that's really what Data.com is about. We've built Data.com hand in hand with the Sales Cloud team, looking hard about how do we bring the data people need in the application. The data you need, where you need it, when you need it. And when we think about data, there's sort of three areas, and Andy will speak more about this. One is, how do we clean the bad data we have? And how do we do that easily? How do we not have, here's a new file every quarter, I have an API, it goes and updates, and then if you update some territory, the sales rep said, oh no, I love this one. How many people segment by number of employees in the room in terms of your territories? Can you raise your hands? Don't you like when you go in and say, here's the data, and the sales rep says, no, that's not the right data. I have better data, right? Because of course, if you do that, your territories will change. We wouldn't want that to happen. And then secondly, which is, how do you get the additional data that you need to target for new opportunities? And then finally, how do we unlock? We have a lot of data in our systems, but the data we have is the traditional data. And how do we unlock the social side? How many times when you go on Twitter, if you use Twitter for customer service, you see this every day. Somebody named Spiny Bob is on Twitter complaining about your service. The Twitter person will respond and say, here's our telephone number. Will you contact us? Why do they do that? They don't know who that person is. What if you have 11 people on Twitter who are really upset? Cloud influence is kind of relevant, but what is your company influence? Of those 11 people, what do they represent to you? Which of those are the highest priority customers? If you knew that level of information, you could understand how to prioritize and respond in real time. It's sort of ollie income free. And Data.com has, today we have terrific account data. Last year we announced that a partnership with Dun & Bradstreet. We delivered that this year. Right? Over 200 million records of company data on a worldwide basis, including hierarchies, live in the application. Terrific contact data. And not just the contact data executives, but the actual people that are key to making decisions. And we have a ton of technology we're constantly validating on a day-to-day basis. As the data changes on a day-to-day basis, you don't need to worry about it. It will be there. And that's the magic of the cloud. And then most importantly, the journey we're on is about how do we make this more heavily embedded in your processes, in Chatter, in your custom workflows, et cetera, right within the Sales Cloud. And that's our focus. And the reason we're all doing it is very simple. It's not data for data's sake, right? It's how do we get more prospects, more opportunities, and more deals closed. And what's exciting, even though we're really early on this journey, there's a number of you in this room that are along this journey with us, taking data and moving it into the cloud. Taking an industry and a service that people aren't fundamentally happy with and seeing if we can fundamentally transform the customer value proposition around ease and updating and satisfaction and making sure it's contextual. That's the journey we're on, and we've seen phenomenal growth. But more important than the growth is the success, because doing data, for any of those that do data in the room, is really hard. And getting it right is really hard. It's also really hard to take 300 million records, run it at sub-millisecond response time, and update it every day in everybody's application, and make sure that everyone's happy. The great thing and the bad thing about data is we could be data experts. We're in sales ops. We have good data. But every salesperson has their own perception on what's good data and bad data. And it turns out if the data doesn't meet their needs, it's bad data, and it's your fault. And if it does, nice job. But what's exciting from a productivity perspective is you're winning with better data. Better data quality, better CRM adoption. I was with a customer 2 weeks ago that they deployed Data.com. They walked through the inside sales hallway, and their people were literally cheering, right? We don't usually get salespeople cheering if you're in the sales operations or in sales management, right? Because they think we're out to sort of manage them like robots. It's not the case, right? Our job is to be successful with them. But the fact that somebody was getting a standing O around better data We don't hear that often in this world.